Of all the auto brands on the road today, only one has been named the best auto brand for 6 straight years. That brand is Mazda. Come shop and save on the award-winning lineup of new Mazdas right now at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda on Airline.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Bug Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people too.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show, coming to you today live from a place where you get that fabulous old school barbecue, Bayou Smokehouse at 10655 Coursey Boulevard. And here's hoping that all is well with you in your world. Since the last opportunity, we had to spend some time with you roughly, I guess around 24 hours ago. We start today's show with some good news / bad news, and it depends on whether you are a parent or a student. Here in East Baton Rouge Parish, it was announced yesterday that the school system is hoping to implement a, quote, Smart Start plan that will facilitate the return of students and staff to in-person learning on all campuses in public schools for the fall. As you well know, East Baton Rouge, like many other parishes, counties, cities, states, has been deeply involved in virtual learning, online learning, distance learning, whatever label you want to put on it. And unfortunately, it has been nowhere near the success that many of us thought that it would be. It has proven to us that kids need to be in a classroom. It is something that was debated hotly in many quarters, and of course, because of the uncharted territory of COVID-19, it was something that many people thought was an absolute necessity. Well, unfortunately, it has not turned out anywhere near as successful as many of us hoped that it would. Cito Narcisse is the newly appointed superintendent of schools in EBR, and he is hoping, well, I'll use his words instead, quote, "We know all too well the costs associated with prolonged periods away from the classroom. We must reintroduce students to in-person instruction as soon as possible to assess the greatest area of needs. The Smart Start plan has EBR school system employees returning to school buildings 2 weeks ahead of schedule to participate in professional development activities focused on closing achievement gaps and accelerating student learning. This proposed calendar has the Smart Start return to campus timeline as follows. July 12th, 2021, Professional Development Week for Principals and Leadership. July 19th, 2021, Professional Development and Employee in Service Week. July 28th, first day of school for EBR Parish School System students. This news, by the way, came mere hours after Pfizer revealed that their COVID vaccine is safe and, quote, strongly protective in kids as young as 12 years old. There was also, on the education front, the announcement that in the capital region, the failure rate of students in public schools has gone up enormously. Reading from the website of the ABC affiliate in Baton Rouge, WBRZ Channel 2, the state's second largest school district, EBR, saw grades failing at rates triple what they were a year ago. WBRZ started reaching out to various school systems to find out what is your failure rate now, a year into the pandemic, and how does it compare to a year ago? They didn't get a whole lot of participation in this inquiry. As a matter of fact, those that did not respond include Ascension, Livingston, Iberville, West Baton Rouge, Central, and Zachary. Here in East Baton Rouge, the failure rate was reported to be 7.54%. What is troubling is if you look across the country, the failure rates of students in public schools, those failing 2 or more classes per school semester, in many cases, it's more than tripled. In some cases, it's quadrupled. It is up to you and all the other experts out there to determine whether or not it is a failure of the system, whether it is a failure of equal access to the internet and online instruction, whether it is a failure of parents making sure that their kids are in fact tuned into the online learning, working with those children to reinforce what they're learning online, or if it is instead some combination of all of the above. At the end of the day, it's pretty much a consensus that this is not working. It is compounded by the fact that not so very long ago, our country led and was the envy of the entire world as far as educational attainment is concerned. Every other country looked to America as the bellwether for educational attainment, whether it was science, math, reading, whatever. We were always listed in the top 2 or 3 countries in the world. Of course, now in recent memory, that has plummeted. It's embarrassing where we find ourselves in the international rankings as far as educational attainment is concerned. But now, with the advent of COVID-19, it's gotten even worse. I don't know where we are going to end up overall after all is said and done, but at this point, it does not bode well for America and our educational attainment. At the end of the day, we have a responsibility to our children. As you've heard me say countless times before, They didn't ask to come here. They were brought here. And if we hope as a nation to be the best we can be, offer them the best that we have to offer, then we are going to have to seriously sit down, revamp, analyze, and change this distance learning model. Now listen, I understand, I get it. We are talking about uncharted territory here. Clarence, you got to understand, we ain't never been through nothing like this before, so, we're trying to figure this thing out as we go. And you would be right to a degree. But at the end of the day, the thing that matters most, at least to me and hopefully to you and yours as well, is the fact that this is the future that we're talking about here. If we are not going to do it for the sake of the future of our country, and of course, the benefits that will be reaped by our children and grandchildren, then who are we going to do it for? At this stage, it's pretty obvious that there are some holes in the system that are not serving us well. And the sooner we can get our kids physically back into the classrooms en masse, the better off we're going to be. EBR announcing, and let me say this for the record, I think it's a fairly good start, but it's in no way, shape, or form going to make up for what the kids have lost out on. When you start looking at failure rates, 2 weeks is not going to fix it. When you look at the failure rates, a month is not going to fix it. It's going to take a concerted effort, and it's going to take time before we can overcome the damage that was done to the learning process for our children because of shutting down schools all across this country. And that's not to mention what the emotional and social damages are for our kids. When you take kids and pretty much isolate them for a period of a year, God only knows what sort of emotional baggage these kids are going to be carrying when they set foot back in the classroom. Only time will tell how ultimately stunted their educational growth has been because of locking down schools for a year. And the same holds true for their emotional and social well-being as well. Parents, let me urge you that as your kids start going back into the in-person learning system, well before that, please don't wait until they go back to school. Sit down and talk with your kids now and find out what their emotional well-being is at this point. You know, it pains me to have to say that. There was a time in this country where that was simply part of being a parent. You want to know what your child's emotional and social well-being is or isn't. But it's a different day now. And if ever you wondered the validity of that statement, you don't have to look too far to find it out. Just saying. By our first break of today's show, we want to get this out of the way. I have proof positive when we come back that it takes work to be stupid. You can't just be stupid on your own. You got to work to be this stupid. We'll talk about that next on the Clarence Bugg Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with The Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Team Honda wants to thank you for once again making us Louisiana's #1 new car dealer by offering you never-before-seen savings. For the first time ever, get 0% financing up to 60 months on some of your favorite Honda models. Get thousands in savings right now at Team Honda on Segan Lane.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show. For those of you that have considered, and in the future, if you do consider running for public office, and even if you don't, for that matter, now that I'm sitting here thinking about this as it's coming up and coming out, a good practice in life is to develop what I call a sounding board. When you have what you think is a great idea, before you announce this to the world, go to your sounding board and ask, what do you think of this idea? Is this idea as great an idea as I think it is? And if you have honest people in your life, like in my case, Marty is my sounding board. Every morning, I bounce stuff off of Marty. Marty, what do you think about this? And I make it a point to do it with a wide variety of people so that I get, a fairly accurate description of what it is I'm inquiring about. If you are an elected official, it's imperative that you do this, because when you don't, you first of all do a serious disservice to those that have elected you to serve them. Secondly, if you don't, you run the risk of looking really, really stupid. In this age, in our society in America, where we are now so conscious of all things racial, when you do certain things, it's a serious disservice to others if you don't get an accurate sounding board before throwing this stuff out there. This week, the White House, under the White House Historical Association, revealed the official 2021 White House Christmas ornament, featuring, wait for it, former President Lyndon Baines Johnson. One side of the ornament portrays a Christmas tree in the White House Blue Room. The other side includes a quote from Johnson delivered to Congress in 1965, calling on lawmakers to support the right to vote bill and outlaw measures that discriminated against African Americans who wanted to vote. Quote, "Our mission is at once the oldest and the most basic of this country, to right wrong, to do justice, to serve man." Now, had the White House Historical Association decided to take old Clarence's advice and bounce this off people in the know, considering we are in this racially stressed time, they probably would have picked somebody else to represent the White House and their official 2021 Christmas ornament. Speaking of sounding boards, here's why. I went to what is arguably the most liberal website network on the planet, MSLSD. I call them MSLSD. Y'all probably know it as MSNBC. That's what y'all watch. The most liberal bunch of folk out there. And I run across the article that is entitled, quote, "Lyndon Johnson was a civil rights hero, but also a racist." You can't make this stuff up. Now, just imagine, before we go any further with this, just imagine if Lyndon Johnson had been a conservative. Do you think MSLSD would have called him a civil rights hero, but also a racist? Nah, civil rights hero part would have been left completely out. He was just a racist. It starts with the following. When the article from a liberal network starts with this, it tells you what you have. First word of the article, quote, "Lyndon Johnson said the word," insert N-word here, "a lot. In Senate cloakrooms and staff meetings, Johnson was practically a connoisseur of the N-word, according to his biographer, Robert Cairo. Johnson would calibrate his pronunciations by region, using Nigra with some Southern legislators and Negra with others, discussing civil rights legislation with men like Mississippi Democrat James Eastland, who committed most of his life to defending white supremacy. He'd simply call it the, insert N-word here, bill. Then, in 1957, Johnson would help get the N-word bill passed, known to most as the Civil Rights Act of 1957. When the 1964 Civil Rights Act and the 1965 Voting Rights Act, segregationists would go to their graves knowing the cause they had given their lives to had been betrayed by a man they believed to be one of their own. There are any number of books written by folks who penned a biography of Lyndon Baines Johnson. And the picture that is painted by these individuals is horrific at best. And of course, there is the famous quote made behind doors when the Civil Rights Act was signed, when he famously said, if I sign this bill, I will have the, insert N word here, voting Democrat for the next 100 years. And this is the guy the White House chooses to commemorate with the official White House Christmas ornament. You have to really try to be that stupid. I mean, all you have to do is go online and look it up. All you have to do is read any of the books. But you know what's so ironic here? What is brutally ironic? These are the same people that every single day are harping on racism. These Democrats slash liberals slash progressives, forward-thinking people, these are the same people that every single day are harping on systemic racism. And yet, they choose to honor in the White House a guy that MSLSD called a racist. It makes you wonder, all of this anti-racism rhetoric that they're throwing around willy-nilly, it makes you wonder just how much they actually believe what they're telling you and how much of it is designed to be purely propaganda. Of course, now, if you don't have enough sense to research it for yourself, then maybe you deserve to be led around by the nose by people like this. All you have to do is read, folks. But it's so disheartening that the folks in what is arguably the leadership of the free world didn't take the time to do this. Now, either they are working really hard at being really stupid, or they think you are really, really stupid. I will leave to you to decide which one it is. Marty's over there in the corner saying, I'll take the second one for 200, please, Alex. We stupid. We stupid. And I guess they figured it out before you did. Just saying. Just an observation. When MSLSD headlines their article with Lyndon Johnson was a civil rights hero, but also a racist. First of all, is it even possible to be both? Can you be a civil rights hero and a racist? And white. And white, on top of that. On top of that, throw that in there too, Marty, and white. You have to work hard to be that stupid. It doesn't come natural. Now, then again, if you've got an agenda, it ain't that hard after all. Just saying. Bottom of the hour break. We'll get her done. Come back and talk more with you, right where you've got it on the Clarence Buggs Show, here and only here on the Pelican. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Jaguar Nation, we need your help in masking up Louisiana.
Masks help us slow the spread of COVID-19.
During this time, we must continue to wear a mask, wash our hands, and practice social distancing.
It's important that we continue to abide by the CDC's guidelines to stop the spread.
Jaguar Nation, we challenge you to mask up. Go Jags!
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Caught spiders.
Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bud Show. Again, we come to you live and in person from Bayou Smokehouse at 10655 Coursey Boulevard, the home of Old School Barbecue. And I'm not going to say anything more about it because I'm killing myself every time I say that, thinking about the marbled brisket I had yesterday, along with the St. Louis ribs and the homemade mac and cheese and the bourbon baked beans, and I'm still talking about it. I said I wasn't going to do it. Thanks, Marty. You know, I saw this story yesterday, and immediately it put me in the frame of mind, what are they thinking? But then I had to stop and say, now, wait a minute, Clarence. You were young once, and a long time ago, I might add, and young people do what young people do. It doesn't matter how much it is splattered all over the news. It doesn't matter how many people lose their jobs or go to jail. It doesn't matter how many others who have done that end up dying. When you are young, you have this air of invincibility, number one. It'll never happen to me. I'm smarter than that. Number two, you think you are the smartest person on the planet. And if there's anybody that can do this and get away with it, well, I'm your guy. Wrong answer. Yesterday, the ABC affiliate here in Baton Rouge, WBRZ Channel 2, reported that LSU is investigating yet another reported sexual battery involving one of their student athletes. Now, you would think, with all the coverage nationwide about allegations of sexual misconduct, particularly in the athletic program at Louisiana State University, you would think, just out of an abundance of caution, every athlete on campus would have a triple locked chastity belt on. But apparently, allegedly, that's not the case. WBRZ says they received documents related to this alleged crime yesterday after reaching out to university officials on March 26th about the incident. The initial report, BRZ says, the initial police report says the incident happened February 8th at the Gym Armory, which houses the Cox Auditorium on Fieldhouse Drive. The victim identified the alleged suspect as an LSU student athlete, but that person's name was redacted from the report given to WBRZ. The incident was first reported to LSU on March 25th, according to the document. No other details of the crime were immediately provided. I don't know for a fact, but I've got to think LSU's athletic department has taken the time since the whole Title IX scandal started. I've got to think that they have sat down with every single athletic team at the university and had a come to Jesus with them about this problem. If they have not, and I have no reason to think otherwise, but if they haven't, then leadership is seriously lacking in that regard. It has already been a black eye for our state's flagship university, the repercussions of which, as you well know, have not been limited just to Baton Rouge. I mean, they reach all the way up to Kansas, where Les Miles was relieved of his duty. It then stretched all the way to the West Coast, to Corvallis, Oregon, where F. King Alexander parting ways with OSU. So I can't reasonably think that there's not been a come to Jesus meeting with members of the athletic staff and members of the various teams on campus. If, in fact, we find out there has not been a meeting of this nature held with all the athletes, then some heads should roll. As long as this has happened, as widely covered as it has been, and the magnitude of the black eye for our state's flagship university and its athletic programs, if they have not taken the time to sit down with every single team and let them know in no uncertain terms this will not be tolerated, then something is seriously wrong. Now, I started all this by saying I was young once, long time ago, and I understand the mentality of a lot of young people. I'm too smart to get caught. They're making a whole lot of fuss about this, but there's really nothing to it. I understand how young people think, but if this instance proves true, somebody needs to be made a really good example of. Part of the human experience is that unless and until you drop the hammer on some things, people will always feel they can do it and get away with it. I mean, after all, how many times have we heard about it happening? And of course, with the advent of the 24-hour news cycle, 24 hours later, nothing's done, forget all about it, life goes on. Well, the repercussions from this are still being felt all across the country. As a matter of fact, there are people crafting pieces of legislation as we speak to ensure that it doesn't happen again. And yet, right here in the town, on the campus where the whole thing exploded, allegedly, it's happened again. It is my sincere hope that the university will send a very, very strong message. And let me hasten to add, sending a message does in no way, shape, or form ensure that it won't happen again. Human beings are human beings. We can do some of the dumbest stuff on the planet despite the fact that we've watched others do it over and over and over again, get caught, and suffer horrific penalties for it. And yet, there are still others that will try to do it. But what happens is, when you send that very strong message, if it happens again, then you can feel free to kill that gnat with a sledgehammer. Now, for the record, let me hasten to add, I am in no way, shape, or form recommending that you beat somebody to death with a sledgehammer. It is a euphemism. Killing a gnat with a sledgehammer simply means lower the boom on someone. Bring down the full weight of the law on it. Because quite frankly, enough's enough. The students at that university deserve better. The citizens whose taxes pay for things at the university deserve better. And God knows the victims deserve better. Apparently, they didn't get the message. How in God's name they couldn't understand by now that this is not acceptable is beyond me. But that's not for me to worry about. At this point, the only thing for me to worry about is the safety of the students that attend that school, and whether or not those who are in charge are doing everything possible to ensure their safety. And I might add, as a caveat, making sure that if this latest individual is in fact guilty, that he pays or she pays the harshest penalty that the law will allow. Will that ensure that it never happens again? Of course not. You heard me say just moments ago, part of the human experience is we go out of our way to prove just how stupid we can be sometimes. We go out of our way to prove that even though what I'm about to engage in is a criminal act, even though the whole world is watching, even though everybody's talking about it, I'm still the one slick enough to pull it off. Well, it is America still, and you've got a right to be a moron. If that is your train of thought, have at it. Just rest assured, there are those of us that are of the opinion when you get caught, it is the severest, the harshest of penalties and nothing else that is going to be levied to you. End of discussion. It is my sincere hope that Louisiana State University will turn over every stone, rock, and pebble to find this individual and hold him brutally accountable. At the end of the day, enough's enough. And apparently there are still some who haven't gotten the message. So at this point, it would lead you to think either the message isn't strong enough, or this is simply one of those individuals that's a gnat. Now all we need to find is a sledgehammer. Pure and simple. Final break of today's show. We'll get this puppy done, come back, put this big old pretty bow on it, and we wrap up the final week's edition of the Clarence Bud Show, here and only here on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
We're making 2021 the year of savings, and it starts right now at Team Toyota. Come get a new 21 Corolla for just $189 a month, or get a 20 Camry for just $19,995. It's a year full of savings starting right now, right here at Team Toyota.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Welcome back to the final segment of today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. You know, there's an old saying that, and I'll paraphrase it here. If you stick around long enough, you find out who your real friends are. There's a very fine-looking couple sitting at the bar here at Bayou Smokehouse at 10655 Coursey Boulevard, and they look like great people, okay? Guy pulls up and got his ball cap on and is sitting there, you know, looking at the Ohio State-Alabama replay, and they're all sitting there, and, you know, I'm thinking, oh, these are good people. These are fine folk. And during the commercial break, the plates they ordered come to the bar, and they are sitting here right in front of my face just chowing down. You stick around long enough, you find out who your real friends are. But listen, on a serious note, yesterday when I left, I bought the 2-meat plate, the brisket marbled, and the St. Louis ribs. So I get home, bust open the plate, sides, the mac and cheese. If you don't try the mac and cheese and the bourbon baked beans, my friend, you're living a deprived life. Pure and simple. Your life is not as rich as it could be if you've not tried the bourbon baked beans and the mac and cheese. But I digress. I get home, ribs are on the bottom, the marbled brisket's on top. So I dive straight into the brisket, and I'm like, oh, dude, it's just like I remember. And one thing I love is consistency in food. You ever go somewhere and your taste buds are set for something, you get there and you take that first bite and you go, Hey, this is not like I remember it. There's nothing worse than that. I like consistency. When my taste buds are set for something and I take that first bite, it better taste just like it did last time. But I digress again. So I get home and I'm diving into the brisket. I'm like, oh, yes, Lord, this is it. This is it. Then it occurs to me, you hadn't tried the ribs yet, bruh. So I reach down under the brisket. I grab a rib by the bone. The whole freaking bone comes out. I'm like, oh, this is it. This is it. I don't even need to taste it. I know this is it. When the whole bone slides out of the rib, that lets you know. Fall off the bone tender. And by the way, Katie True, a member of the staff, was on with us, I want to say Monday? Yeah, Monday. Katie was on. And she talked about the fact that there are 3 types of sauces here. There's the Georgia, which is sweet. There's the Carolina that everybody knows is a vinegar-based sauce. And there's the Louisiana, which is sweet with a to it. That was the perfect, thank you, Marty. That was the perfect description. The Louisiana barbecue sauce, it's sweet, but with that Louisiana pow to it. You know how we do things in Louisiana. So if you haven't come by yet, well, keep on living your deprived life. That's up to you. But don't you dare say, my old buddy Clarence didn't tell me, Clarence didn't turn me on to it. I could have been chowing down on some old school barbecue if Clarence had told me how good it was. Well, I'm telling you now. 10655 Coursey Boulevard. During our last break, it occurred to me, as we were talking about young people and how at that point in life, I guess you can attribute it to you haven't had enough life experience to know this is not a good idea. When you're young, typically, especially now with the digital age and social media and the like, young people have never particularly been predisposed to watching the news. So they're not aware of a lot of things. And many of them get their news from social media, so they're only getting half-truths, distortions, and misinformation. One of the things that society, and particularly the education community, has cracked down on severely in recent memory involves Greek organizations and their hazing rituals. Now, let me hasten to add, Greek life and hazing is so deeply rooted in higher education that to think it's going to go away overnight is not realistic. It just isn't. I mean, I marched in the human jukebox at Southern University. We were hazed. We were thrown in Kernan Lake on campus. We had to dig our own mud pit to be drugged through. But no one ever took things to the level where somebody had to go to the hospital, someone lost their lives, something like that. It was kept in context, okay? In recent memory, we have had instance after instance after instance of individuals being hospitalized and some losing their lives when hazing in a Greek organization got totally out of control. So media coverage about this has been all over the place. I mean, there's no way, reasonably, that a young person could say, well, I didn't know society was frowning upon hazing. There's no way that realistically they could say that. And yet, in the last week, we found out 3 Greek organizations right here in Baton Rouge have been suspended because of hazing violations. The latest is the Beta Psi chapter of Appa Kappa Appa. If you have any experience with HBCUs, you know I'm talking about the AKAs. According to university spokespersons, the organization has been placed under cease and desist while an investigation takes place. As I mentioned, this makes the third Greek organization to fall under pressure from university officials in the month of March. Just last week, another frat at Southern and another frat at LSU were suspended due to allegations of wild partying and hazing. Parents, talk to your kids. Now listen, I know, I understand. At that age, you can sit them down, you can talk to them, you can preach to them till you're blue in the face. And they will leave, and 30 minutes after you finish that soliloquy, they're going to do exactly what you told them not to do. I get it. That's the nature of the beast when you're dealing with young people. How many times did your parents tell you, son, don't do that? Daughter, don't do that. And the next thing you know, you're sitting there having the conversation. I thought I told you not to do that. We've all been there and done that. But if you don't have the conversation with them and they go out and do it, you don't then have the luxury of saying, didn't I tell you? If you don't have the conversation and they go out and do it, inevitably the finger of blame will come back at you. Well, if you would have told me that, if I'd have known, I may not have ended up in jail. You don't need that hassle. Talk with your kids. They deserve it. They will be better for it. And at the end of the day, quite frankly, it's your responsibility. It's your duty. You're the parent. They're your child. End of discussion. That being said, my time's up and I gotta go. And this day, just like any other, I give it to you. America? Nah, we are nowhere near perfect. But doggone it, for this old boy's money, it's the best there is. And God knows there is no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. Speaking of the good Lord, you know he loves you, right? And I hope you know that I do too. Then again, there ain't a doggone thing you can do about either one. Love you much. Happy Easter. We'll see you Monday. God bless.